On today's show, the San Diego Padres' good vibes keep on a-rolling as they shut out the best team in baseball. Talking about our boy Randy Vasquez's performance and answering a very daunting question. A scary question. Did the Padres officially lose the Juan Soto trade?
You are Locked On Padres, your daily San Diego Padres podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Locked On Padres podcast, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day for Wednesday, September 24th. As always, I'm your host with sometimes the most, Javier Reyes, and I've been covering this team for nearly 6 years now, not just for this podcast, but also various other outlets, including JustBaseball.com, chief among them. Today's episode, guys, is brought to you by the one, the only, it's the sensational Gametime, folks. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Go check that out. Go check me out on the socials, Twitter/X, and Blue Sky at Javipeno, JAVIIPENO. Leave your questions or comments in the comment section of every YouTube video, or just this YouTube video, I guess, if you want to have a chance to be featured on the show. And today's show, guys, we are recapping a little bit of yesterday's game, talking about our boy Randy Vasquez, which is a nickname I just came up with now. Don't think it'll stick, but it'll at least stick with just you and me, the listeners and the viewers. Just our relationship that we have. We'll kind of do that. And then we're going to talk about some of your guys' postseason reactions, calling me out, saying that the Padres wouldn't make the playoffs to begin with. And then a little bit of a mailbag question. Did the Padres officially lose the Juan Soto trade? Is it time to finally have our stake in that? We'll talk about all that on today's show, guys. First, let me just tell you, the Padres won by a score of 7-0, and frankly, not too much to take away from this game, because with the Padres officially clinching the playoffs, with it looking very unlikely that the Dodgers blow the division, I'm pretty sure the Padres would have to win, like, basically every game going forward. A lot of guys got taken out of the lineup last night. Actually, Manny Machado, Jake Cronenworth, and Fernando Tatis Jr. all out of the lineup, which is just fascinating. But while that might be a little bit depressing for your everydayers who love watching the team, including myself, because I, do the show every day, Xander Bogaerts made his return in this one. Really big news. He was expected soon. There was some slight hope that he might have come back and been ready for the White Sox series, but instead he's back now. Looked a little bit messy, 0 for 4 with a strikeout in this one. Swung at a really bad pitch, by the way, way down. It was like a sucker pitch, as my dad usually likes to call them. Basically, his definition of a sucker pitch is anything that hits the ground. Is his definition. That's just what he likes saying. Not a great game for him, 0 for 4, but hey, it's just really nice to see him back. And think of it this way, this is a guy that's going to be playing instead of Jose Iglesias come playoff time, and Jose Iglesias has been very, very bad this year, with the exception of the game that he had on Saturday or Sunday, when he went 2 for 3 with the solo shot, helped them, or Monday, I'm sorry, not Saturday, on Monday's game when he did have that solo shot to help bring them back. He's been pretty bad throughout the season. Just has not been a good player. Has just been a guy that they've needed off the bench every now and then, right? So good to have Xander Bogaerts back, very, very much. And it's also good to see some good offensive production from guys that you don't always expect. First of all, grand slam 2 for 4 day from our guy Ryan O'Hearn. I've talked about this on the last few shows. Seeing O'Hearn, Arráez, Merrill, seeing these guys do a bit better as of late, show a little bit more potential with the bat. I think Merrill being the most exciting one, because we've seen what his upside is, right? We know that that guy's upside is a rookie of the year, freak guy that they extended for a reason, right? So him doing this well is great. Jackson Merrill does not play as well, by the way, in last night's game. So they're just resting the starters, but even still, I love to see Ryan O'Hearn contribute. I think that there have been times throughout the season when I haven't liked Shildt's lineup decisions. I haven't liked that Ryan O'Hearn has been this deep in the order. I think he should be the number 2 hitter. But bottom line is just seeing him do this well is it's amazing news. Lineup depth will be a thing for the Padres. Can they get not just their stars to show up, right? We talked a little bit about Manny Machado the other day, right? Like, he needs to show up in the postseason. But Ryan O'Hearn, 2 for 4 with the grand slam last night. He went 1 for 4 in game 1 against the Brewers, but with a walk. 3 for 4 on Sunday against the White Sox, and 3 for 4 on Saturday. He's starting to heat up. This is big news. They acquired him at the deadline for a reason. And I do think that even if he isn't his overall season numbers, which is like a 270 hitter, a 370 on base, hitting for a decent modicum of power, even if he's not that with the Padres, I think that he can be what he's been in the past, right? We've talked about this before. Ryan O'Hearn, even before this year, was a pretty solid major league hitter, a 118 WRC plus in both of the previous 2 years, 2024 and 2023, showing he can at least be a solid bat at the very minimum. So I am excited, even if he doesn't hit the 125, 140 WRC plus guy that he was at points this year. Like I said, slugging the crap out of the ball. He's declined a little bit, but I think he could still be a really solid bat, so that's exciting. Also in this game, Jose Iglesias, who I was just slandering, he does go 2 for 4 with a home run as well in this one, which we love to see in the bottom of the 8th when the game was well out of reach. And you know why it was well out of reach too? Not just the grand slam from Ryan O'Hearn, but also Luis Arráez hitting a 2-run home run in this game. The second time he's hitting the ball off the foul pole. It might actually be his third with the Padres, but I was in person at the first one, if it only has been 2, back in that walk-off game from Elias Diaz. I was in San Diego for that one. It was a great game. Great to see. Arráez just looks pumped. I like that he also drew a walk in this game. Look, I maintain every single thing I've of course said about Arráez. There's nothing that I take back. Let me be very clear. This guy was not good this season, right? But what we have seen is that he's got a really nice on base streak going since the September 10th, I'm sorry. He has a hit in every single game. He went 2 hits last night. I'd like to see a couple more multi-hit games, but overall, getting hot late, I'll take it, right? Like, I'll absolutely take it from a guy like Arráez. I like that he's drawing walks. I like that he's swinging a little bit more aggressively, not letting multiple donut pitches go like right down the middle and put himself in a bad hitter's count, right? That's really bad. Just letting yourself get to 0-2, especially when you're not a guy who walks and you're not a guy that strikes out. That's really, really bad, right? So hopefully this is a sign that Arráez can be a solid player. And in fact, him hitting leadoff, like, hey, it's too late at this point probably now. Tatis has been hitting leadoff all year. But part of me is like, was that a possibility that they could have tried? I was in favor of just trying things with the lineup, which of course Shildt mostly did not adhere by, which is fine. It's why he's the manager. I'm not. But I think that, what was I wrong? Maybe could we put Arráez first and then Tatis second? Would that have helped a little bit? I don't know entirely, but what I do know is that this was a very, very nice win for the Padres, especially because our man Randy Macho Man Vasquez showed up in a big way, and your boy called it. Go play back the tape from yesterday. I mentioned I thought that the Brewers are the perfect type of team for Randy Vasquez to go against. That's still a team, trying a little bit, but their lineup just gets completely shut down from Yelich to Chiro to Turek to Contreras. The only one of those 3 that get a hit is Christian Yelich. Folks, I love it when a plan comes together. But folks, you know what else I love? I love our friends over at readjust. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You might not have heard of this sponsor, but let me tell you. What do you get when you have a bald eagle standing on top of a sober-back gorilla riding a T-Rex? You get confidence, pure, unadulterated confidence. And if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet readjust Long, folks. It's not just another ED pill, it's a total game changer for confidence. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in 1 dual-action formula, so you can go hard and go the distance. The effects can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. The process is simple. Connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, and if prescribed, your treatment ships directly and discreetly right to your door. If prescribed, your treatment will be right there for you, man. It's great. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Well, just head to readjust.com, RUGIET.com, and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 50% off your first order. That's readjust.com, RUGIET.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Make sure to use our code so they know that we sent you. And just like that, everybody, we are back here on the Locked On Padres podcast, thriving and vibing. We're just talking a little bit about yesterday's game. Last thing, our boy Randy Vasquez going 7 innings in this one. Only 1 hit allowed, no runs, 2 walks, 3 Ks. He even got more strikeouts than walks. It was beautiful. I called it. I told you, Randy Vasquez is the type of pitcher that will do well against a Brewers type of lineup, right? Just throwing them all this nonsense that should be killed, right? And in fact, part of it was he had an average exit velocity allowed of 101 off of his sinker. Like, that was the pitch that wasn't working for him. But the fastball was okay. And most importantly, the cutter. Guys, he generated only 2 whiffs on it, but 82.4 miles per hour exit velo. That thing is just a nuisance. I really think that Randy Vasquez is defying numbers, defying a lot of the peripherals, which could mean that next year, let's not act like, we know the Padres could have some rotation problems next year. Let's not act like Randy Vasquez is going to be for sure a stud. These things could come back down to earth, but he has been pitching better. And I think the cutter, I think him not walking as many batters, it's nice to see, right? And I think that this is a guy who, look, let me be clear, still has bad peripherals. His FIP is still 4.89. His expected ERA is still 5.62. But that's season-long numbers. As of late, I actually think he's looked a little bit better because he's going deeper into games. Quite simple as that, right? Like, this guy, maybe I was wrong. Maybe he has another gear to go, potentially in the future. That's an off-season thing, but he went 7 in this one, only went 2 1/3 against the Mets, although we talked about in the show that I thought they should have kept him in. Then he went 6 against Colorado and 6 at Colorado. Maybe he's doing a little something. I don't fully know. I just like that they tested him and he passed. And that's basically it, right, for the Padres in that game. It was really, really cool, though, overall. Wadi Peralta and Yuki Matsui helping out, keeping, none of them got lit up to make them have to use the rest of their bullpen. Really, really good stuff overall from the Padres. We'll see if our boy Dylan Cease can show up in today's afternoon game, and whether or not it could really complete not just a series sweep, but a series of just all good stuff. Hitters showing up, Xander Bogaerts coming back, right? Walk-off hits that send you to the playoffs. Dylan Cease having a good start. Randy Vasquez going 7. It would just be it would be nice. It's just nice. It's just nice. But folks, you know what else is nice? Making the dang playoffs. And let me tell you, you guys let me hear about that yesterday. Some of the comments on the videos I think were pretty funny. Just everybody being like, hey, you're crazy. What's wrong with you, man? But first, let's read a couple of those. At Koji_H says, I remember during spring training that you predicted that the Padres wouldn't make the playoffs. I respectfully disagreed back then, and I'm so glad we made it happen. Now that we're in, what are your playoff predictions? Anything less than a World Series championship, I'll continue to respectfully disagree. LFGSD. Thank you, Koji. That's a very kind comment. Let me just keep, because everybody kind of said the same thing. Robert Birdie says, just a reminder, Javi, that you originally predicted the Padres would not make the playoffs. At least you changed your prediction during the season as we played well and actually made it. Mets and Tigers can end up missing the playoffs. Mets fans will be pissed off and demand Carlos Mendoza be fired. Not sure what Tigers fans will do. Let me just say, this is hateful, and y'all could send this to Jeff Ellis of Locked On Guardians. Trust me, he might even agree with me. I am really hoping that the Guardians miss the playoffs. I think it's actually really bad for the sport when teams that don't care, don't invest in their team, don't hit, make the playoffs just so they can lose, and the team that's actually exciting and might have a chance to go somewhere misses the playoffs. I call them spoiler teams. Their entire purpose and construction is just to spoil. Milwaukee Brewers are another one of those teams. The Tampa Bay Rays, although the best example, another one of those teams, right? Teams that don't actually have any intention organizationally, systemically, of winning a World Series because they refuse to spend and just get a couple of extra good players, right? And instead they trade away everybody. They prosper usually off of a little bit of a poor season from other teams. So I think that would be bad. I don't want the Guardians and their one hitter in Jose Ramirez and then a little bit of Stephen Kwan, going to the postseason. I think that would be really boring. I just think it's bad. I don't like it when teams that made the ALCS the very previous year make the playoffs, despite not trying at all. Like, they literally made the ALCS last year, added nothing. The only thing they did was trade away some players, and then you still make the playoffs. That stinks. That's just crummy for the sport. But yeah, I get it. You guys are on me. What can I say? Just not the best sort of time for your boy when it comes for predictions. But how do I think they could do in the playoffs? I don't know. We'll have to see. Koji. I just think that this is a team that, they still have a lot of heart, right? Like, they still got a lot of gamesmanship. They've been there before. But a Cubs team, at Wrigley, I just don't know how they're going to limit that offense. You're really hoping that Nick Pivetta, who can still give up some hard hit stuff every now and then, stays in the game and does really well. I love the bullpen too, but can this Padres offense show up when they need it to away? I'm a little bit dubious, right? And I just don't see it right now for the Game 1 series. But I could, of course, be wrong because it's also the wild card series, right? So who knows what could happen there. And also, Rama, I agree. Very excited to see what happens with the Mets and the Tigers. At Phoenix Ash 927 says, vibing off all the other comments. Hey, Javi, do you remember that you said we wouldn't make the playoffs? You silly goose. Serious note. My bold prediction that the Padres would be in a playoff spot all season long, wire to wire, fell short by like 2 games in the middle of the year. Crazy cool to think we've been in the playoffs essentially the entire season. That's a good point. The Padres, like, what's really funny is throughout all the criticisms, all the complaints, all the complaining, is that the Padres were always just lowercase g good at very minimum. Sometimes great, right? Postseason, the post-trade deadline, they were incredible, right? But for the most part, they've just kind of been this steady ship all year when you actually look back at it, despite the starting pitching being a little bit weird, despite the fact that the offense just could not hit for the first month or so of the season, despite the fact that Tatis didn't really slug out all this year, Merrill be having a down season. They just did the bit, like, they just were solid, right? And I think that that's a really good point to make, is that they were just solid all freaking year. And yes, I got murked. What can I say? I was wrong. I still stand by my prediction. I think that what happened was that the Braves and especially the D-backs being as bad as they were, and the Braves not being involved in wild card, and then D-backs wild card or division, just seems like those teams falling apart and falling off also help the Padres. That sometimes it's true. Sometimes if you're just the one that stays afloat while everybody else goes for it and maybe misses, sometimes the team that's just staying afloat and kind of hanging out there is the one that you trust and ends up making it. And also, as Phoenix Ash also continues to point out, 4 playoff appearances in 6 years, back-to-back playoffs. I really don't want to hear anyone saying that Preller is a bad GM or that he needs to be fired. This is the best stretch of baseball for the Padres in my entire life. Back-to-back postseason runs, only the second time a manager has done that in our franchise history, by the way. Shout out to Mike Shildt. Back-to-back postseason runs with everyone in our starting rotation stinking and or getting hurt outside of Pivetta. 93 wins last year, second best record in the history of the Padres. Already at 86 this year, which is good enough for 11th all time. If we win 4 of the last 5, we'd have back-to-back 90-plus, and Shildt will have managed the second highest wins and 5th highest wins in franchise history. My man, coming with the numbers. The clubhouse has never been better than under Shildt. Listening to the radio coverage of the celebration last night easily tells you how cohesive and focused a group we have because of him. We have never played such amazing, consistently win baseball as we are under Mike Shildt. All doubters need to quiet down. These 2 men are phenomenal for the Padres, and I cannot wait to see what we do this year in the playoffs. I really think that Preller, while it is true that having the Seidler thumbs up to be able to go out and spend, right? I do think that's a big deal. I still think it's also a big deal that there are other teams that do have a little bit of a, not blank check, but the green sign to go out and spend, that AJ Preller goes out and still makes the moves and made them exciting. That's irrespective of being a good team, is that he made them a destination, a cultural moment, and a touchstone in sports discourse, right? This is a team that is talked about now on a mainstream level because what did their identity become? Yes, some of their stars like Fernando Tatis Jr., like Jackson Merrill, but also being the little brother to the Dodgers, and most importantly, the team that trades all the time and goes for it and never makes their fan base feel like they're the afterthought and that they're just trying to make a profit. That's hard to pull off. He changed the culture. And Mike Shildt, I agree. Everybody, I recommend listening to my episode I did with Ben Woods. Ben Higgins of, hold on. I'm so bad at this. Stephen Woods of the Ben and Woods show. He was actually on my show like 4 or so months ago. It's down there. Go look it up. And we talked about it. And he talked about how from what he'd heard, and he's closer to the team than me, just like Shildt, man, just seems like the perfect fit for this locker room. And I do take that stuff seriously, even if I did disagree with some of the lineup decisions. Bottom line is he's been great. And I agree, man. Enough of the disrespect. This has still been a good team. I think the only criticism for Preller that people would note, and would have as a counter for you, is if he doesn't make as many of these moves, are they even better set up where they have more depth? They still have the CJ Abrams, James Wood thing, right? If they don't make that trade, that would be the criticism. But also, you could just as easily say what you said, which is totally true, and just be like, you know what? 4 out of 6 of the 4 out of the 6 seasons playoffs, and we're the Padres. We're not a team known for being very good. Could just leave it at that. You could very well just leave it at that. But folks, we're not going to leave it at just that for today's show. But before we continue and talk about the Juan Soto trade, which I dropped at the end there, let me just talk to you really quickly about some of our sponsors, namely Gametime, because there's nothing like catching a baseball game live. Energy, crowd, you want to just see them in person, something that I failed to do last week. But actually getting the tickets, it can be tough. The queues, the logins, just random surprise fees, it takes all the fun out of it. That's why I use Gametime, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's fast, easy, and backed by the Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. It's great. I love the zone deals, by the way, option that they have. You just pick a section, Gametime picks the seats, and you save some of that cash. It's fantastic, faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I've personally ever bought tickets. Prices go down. You can see the seat views. It's got everything for you, man. Shout out Gametime. We love y'all. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, and ticket. Go! Download Gametime today. And I need you guys to also download another app, and that's our friends over at the Duelist Fandom. FanDuel, the NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for every kickoff. You want tomorrow's kickoff? They got you. You want Monday night kickoff? There's 2 Monday night games this week. They got you. You want Sunday, of course, when you're sitting with the fellas and the friends and the pals and the families and the partners and everything. Well, FanDuel is there to help make it even more exciting because new customers can bet just $5, and if your first bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So let me just ask you real quick. Are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Go check it out. And just like that, everybody, we are back thriving and vibing here on the Locked On Padres podcast. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Remember to go subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and follow the show on YouTube as well. Locked On Padres, if you're not watching my silly head of hair talk about this team. But let me tell you, with the final segment, I want to answer a question, and that is from Cam Wordplay, who comments on the channel saying, unless King becomes brilliant again in October and signs a new contract, in parentheses, I have to say, the Yankees won the Soto trade. Do you agree or disagree? This is a great question. And it's honestly a question that we're going to be answering for a very long time, in my opinion. I do know what you mean in the sense that if they do lose Michael King, if they do lose Dylan Cease, which is all but guaranteed, although the Dylan Cease thing becoming slightly more possible that he stays only because he's had such a bad season. I wouldn't be surprised if him being a Boris client that he takes a prove-it-year deal, right? So similar to what Blake Snell did with the San Francisco Giants. If you guys remember, it was about 3 years, 75 with an option after each year. Wouldn't it be crazy? I don't think they'll do it because the average annual value is still really high and the Padres will try to keep the payroll down. But I've seen crazier things, and if the team makes the playoffs again, maybe they go on a run, maybe ownership's going to be like, you know what, this is great, we're like third in attendance again. Yeah, we could spend an couple extra money to bring back seats, just because it won't be like this long-term deal. It's not impossible. I'd put the chances about like 6%. But you get my point. And I understand what you're saying, that if they do lose Michael King, it's like you traded this once-in-a-generation talent for guys that ended up leaving. My response to that would be, I think it's been made very, 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 very much the case, very obvious, that they were not going to be able to keep Juan Soto. Steve Cohen wanted this guy, and the Padres were not shelling out $700 million. The most that we know that they have tried to shell out was the $440 million deal that they offered Aaron Judge, reportedly. Right? I just think 700 would have been a bit out of control for this guy. I think he would have been a really great player. Could you have extended him? Possibly, maybe. But I think that it was clear from the get-go that the Padres were like hoping they could extend him. And I'm trying to believe, and I've criticized Preller for this before, the fact that this offseason that they did acquire Juan Soto, or I'm sorry, the offseason following their midseason trade for Juan Soto. What did they do? They go out and sign Bogarts, they extend Yu Darvish, they extend Jay Cronenworth, they extend Robert Suarez, and they extend Manny Machado. One of the things I didn't like at that time was, why are you doing all those moves when you have this super duper star who's going to become a free agent after this year? Like, shouldn't you be waiting? This seems really, really aggressive for this team. And look, turns out I was maybe right on some of those contracts, especially the Xander one. But overall, I have to also at least give some credence, some faith that maybe they knew. Yeah, we ain't getting Soto after this, so let's go extend everybody else right now. Maybe that's what it was, but also it's conflicting because Juan Soto had a reaction to it that was kind of like, from, if you read some reports over The Athletic, that was kind of like, oh, this is weird, that I know that I'm not getting paid here. All right, like, I still want to be good, and he was good for the Padres. Make no mistake about that. He was very good in the 23 season, don't get me wrong. But he was looking at that saying, oh, yeah, so I'm definitely not getting paid here. So that creates an awkward situation, I think, for him. But I think that it's I still head back to what I was saying before. I think that the real thing that the Padres might have lost is the trade with the Nationals. Like, should you have even done this in the first place? If this team has James Wood in left field, if they have CJ Abrams at shortstop, are they able to, yes, they don't have Michael King and Dylan Cease, but do they have some extra pieces or just some extra money left over to potentially, because then they don't have to sign Xander Bogaerts, right, if they have CJ Abrams there. Potentially, instead, you're looking at a team that maybe they signed some other pitchers instead. Maybe they kept a Blake Snell instead. I don't know. That one, I think, is up for debate. But in terms of with the Yankees, look, the Yankees made the World Series. I understand that. They made the World Series. They lost because they completely fell apart. They had that 5th inning Game 2 and Game 5 when they just completely, stunk up the room or whatever you want to call it. I forgot what I'm allowed to say on the airwaves. But I think when it comes to the Padres, no, I disagree. I think that they won the trade because that trade gave them a shot last year and it gave them a shot this year with Dylan Cease. And also, do not underestimate Randy Vasquez. I think was acquired in that trade, and Johnny Brito, not very good, but Randy Vasquez, a guy that we all like as a depth piece, at minimum a depth piece. Again, I'm hopeful that maybe there might be a little bit something else there, but he's a depth piece that has helped out this team this year. Dylan Cease last year was nearly a Cy Young winner, and last year the Padres won 93 games and were probably the best team in baseball when the playoffs started, right? Then you also got Kyle Higashioka, who was the single best catcher that the Padres have had since like Derek Norris. I'm being dead serious. And then there's this one Hedges year where his defensive statistics were really through the roof. But overall, like, guys, don't forget, Higashioka was awesome for the Padres last year. He was the starting catcher. He had a 104 WRC plus. He hit 17 home runs in 84 games. Like, he was really, really good considering that Campuzano fell through the ceiling, right? Like, he was really bad. Just good stuff. And then you have Michael King, who was also great last year. And this year, we're still going to have to see if he does well in the postseason, but is also still a big piece and part of this rotation. And even if they don't extend him, although I am hoping for it, that's still really good considering it was a player you probably weren't going to keep. The real question is the Nationals trade. I don't think the Yankees trade. Yes, the Yankees made the World Series, but they lost him too, guys. They lost him too. They lost him to the Mets. So I think that overall, the Padres, it's almost, you shouldn't be in a position where you had to make that trade with the Yankees, but if you were, I do not think that they lost that trade. I'm really excited and hopeful that maybe for 2026 there's some mutual option. Maybe they keep him, right, for another $15 million. He didn't pitch a lot this year, right? So maybe he's going to be looking. But if he has a good playoffs, actually, I think this could be one of those guys that if he goes off in the playoffs, maybe teams are like, okay, cool, we're set, and they're ready to offer him more money. We'll have to see. And hopefully the Padres can keep him still if that's the case. But yeah, that's my take, Cam. I hope you agree. And if you don't agree, let me know in the comments why, and I'd love to read back some of your responses. I believe they won the trade. Maybe the Nationals part of it. Beforehand, that's the one that I think is more up for debate. And maybe we'll talk about that one on a future show. Who knows? Who knows? But with that all being said, everybody, that about does it for today's edition of the Locked On Padres podcast, the only pod that may be better than the Padres themselves. Remember to subscribe to wherever you get your podcasts from. Follow the show on YouTube, Locked On Padres at youtube.com. And also, leave some comments in the comment section. Going to answer them on the show as we head into this home stretch. And tomorrow's show, going to break down the Athletics power rankings of the best rotations heading into the postseason. That should be a really fun conversation. But until next time, stay safe and, of course, stay faithful. My faithful homies, take care.